take a break for a second. Yeah, it's a little bit warm out there in that bright sunshine today at 1 o'clock, September the 20th, 2022. And you might wonder where we're at and why we're here. Well, for many of you who've been with the channel for quite some time, you'll recognize some of this area. Yep, it once upon a time was an old farmstead, I guess you would call it. Small farm. Homestead, whatever you'd like. It no longer is. The land has laid fallow for, oh Lord, probably now 50 years. Everything of the old farmstead, you know, the barns, the outbuildings, the chicken coops, the goat shed, and even the fields are now totally gone. The fields that were once productive and farmed by a family to make it through every day in the coming years is no longer recognizable. Nature has taken it back. It now awaits, should that ever happen, another family later on in time to come and make their stand, their living, and grow into the future. Because you see, that's just how it used to be back in the day. There you are, friends and family. Imagine meeting up with you over here in my secret place, magical place I like to come when I want to ponder the events. Well, one of many places, as you know, to collect my thoughts deep in the heart of nature. Yeah, I love the outdoors. Wish I could do more of it. And that was the plan in my retirement. You know, some traveling, outdoors, camping. I mean, real camping, like on the ground, in a tent at the most. Yeah, I think people call it bushcrafting now, or, you know, survivalism or whatever. I just always called it camping. And there's many ways to do it. And you can bring as much as you'd like, or as little. Back when I was a child and growing up, our father and our grandfathers, they taught us how to go out there with nothing more than a good hunting knife, our shoes, our pants, a shirt, maybe a few matches, and a few other items. But that's for another video. Now, people got full-blown luxury campers, all the way down to pop-ups and tents, that in many countries would be a fine home for a family of 6, just saying. And all the conveniences. Sinks with pressurized water, I mean, for tent camping. Propane stoves, appliances you can run off of solar generators. Yeah, they're really roughing it these days, so I've seen here on YouTube. But hey, if it's whatever, you know, strikes your fancy and keeps you smiling, go for it. I'm more of a minimalist, and I've been getting more and more minimalist as the years go by. In fact, I'm going to do a lot of minimalizing this particular winter. You see, because I finally come to the conclusion, your stuff can control your life and become a big part of it. That if you didn't have it all, it wouldn't even be. Yeah, we Americans, as well as most Western countries, are really into our stuff. So much so, we have houses that are huge in comparison to many countries, if not all. And we even, after that, rent storage units. Yeah, now I have one too, so I can't talk. But that's not what I wanted to do today. I wanted to come out here and take a walk. Think about things that have come and things yet to come. Yeah. And then, while I'm out here, I bump into all of you. my friends and family. So hey, if you'd like to take a walk, chat a while, as we wander through the woods and beyond, join on up, fall on in. Hey, I brought water, some beanie weenies, and some Viennas. Though, we're going to have to really cut it up small to feed all of you. But hey, maybe a small miracle will come along too. It's happened before. So hey, let's take a walk. Got my day pack with me. You know, with all the essentials, water, beanie weenies, Vienna sausages, yeah, knife, cell phone, things of that nature. Bic lighter, fire starter, yeah. You know, I'm not proud. I don't have to go old school. I don't got to sit out here in the primitive wilderness and fashion me a bow drill from my shoestring and, you know, a nice limb and make me a fireboard. No, I don't got to do all that. Bic lighter works for me. Like I say, I'm not proud. What works for you, works for you. Hey, like I said, we're out here to take a walk, get in our steps, and clear our mind. So come on along, okay? Whew, as soon as we start talking, the birds, the bees, and everything else become so quiet. You see, where we are and where we're going, for the most part, doesn't have a lot of people traffic anymore. It did upon a time. And I've showed you the sorghum. Yeah, this is not grain sorghum. This is sorghum cane. A little bit different. This is used to make syrup, you know, sweetener. Similar with the sugar cane. And of course you can boil it down and make a dark brown sugar from it. Of course, before you get to that stage, you'll get to the stage of molasses. There's not as much of it this year. Plus, you might notice in the background a familiar vine. Yeah, that's kudzu. Soon, sometime in my lifetime, God willing, it'll consume this entire plot of land, to include the old sorghum cane. Nothing stays the same. You know, some is of man, some is of God. Of course, most was of God till man got involved. Now we'd have to say most of the tragedies of nature can be racked up to us. And here, the tree of thorns. Well, this is actually a honey locust tree. And that's its defense mechanism. And it can be used, these spikes are needle sharp. Yep, they can be a defensive or offensive weapon, should you choose. You know, in one of those SHTF events everybody's always talking about. Probably wouldn't work for the meteor one. Nah. Or the tsunami. You know, the Great Flood. But it might work for others. Who knows? Because there's so many, aren't there? Well, I've got to get through this underbrush, and we're going to have to bow our head down and push on through. When we get to the other side, I'll get back to all of you. Well, we broke through the tree line, and now we're in quite a different environment, but it wasn't always this way. Nope. Once upon a time, as we've walked down this road many, many times over the years, this was a lush green pine forest. But it had a reason for being. And that reason was long overdue. And the pine forest was in bad need of harvesting. The trees had gotten far too old, and they were dying. And it would have been a waste. Because decades ago, it was planted for the purpose of providing wood for lumber and pulp for paper. Yes, it was. And if done right, forestry, aka grow trees, it's regenerative. They grow, they're harvested, they're replanted to be harvested again, to build our homes, our stores, our businesses, our schools. Yeah. Once upon a time, to make our books, still some, not much. The paper we used in schools to write our stories, do our schoolwork, all that math, English, history, writing those essays, yeah. I guess they all do it on their notepads now and laptops. I guess even their phones. How times have changed, as this land has changed too, here of recent time. I was just proud that for 25 something years, I was allowed to walk along it, to share in the coolness, the beauty, and the majesty of those old growth trees. But like I said, they had reached their time and far past prime, and had they not been harvested, they would have just rotted and went to waste. But with all the focus on food, all ecosystems have food. You gotta know what the food looks like. Surely you do. Could this be food? The berries are beautiful. And I'll give you a little homework this time. Take a snapshot and look. And do the Google search and find out for yourself, edible or not. And I can't do all things for you, right? But for a summer day, it's rather toasty out here. 88 in the shade. Well, I'm thinking well over 100 in this blazing sun. But you can't always pick a cloudy day or when the temp's far more cooler to take a walk. Just sort of got to take it as it comes. You see, there was a time in our lives and those that came before where the weather wasn't much of a factor in their daily lives. Life had to go on. You had to work the land, work the animals. Yep. Work the planting, work the harvest. The key word there was work. And I was talking to a good friend of mine last night. We often talk in the late hours of the night, when the lights grow low. And like we were talking about, people, they just don't live to live anymore. We've gotten away from that. There was a time, not all that far back, in modern time, that people still did. Now I'm talking here in America. and in the Western developed nations. Now, we mostly work, if we do, for stuff. Things we want, not so much things we need. Yeah, and we've had that discussion, knowing what's a need and what's a want. If you're a young person and you haven't figured that out yet, you might want to. Because there'll come a time in your life you'll wish you'd let some of them wants slide by. Yes, you will. But sit down and be honest with yourself and take a look at what we call civilization now. The Western civilization, I might add. And how much effort, time, and work goes to provide us the means to get our stuff we want. You know, houses 4 times larger than what we need. Massive vehicles. So one of us can ride around higher and look down on others. You know what I'm talking about. It seems everybody needs a truck. And not, you know, like we had back in my day. 2-door. No. You try to find a 2-door truck now. Oh no. You gotta have the quad cab. Long wheelbase. 4-wheel drive. All the gadgets and the gadgets to get by. And now they cost twice as much as what I paid for my house. Yeah, I know. It's not no fancy house. But hey, it keeps me dry, warm in the winter, and cool in the summer. Looking on back, that's a hot, dry, dusty road that we came on down from. And more to come. But we're going to take a left here. I know it's unusual. We often take rights. You ever notice? I'm just a right kind of guy. I'm seeing a lot of animal tracks. You know, it ain't an apocalyptic situation, whatever it may be. You know, you always hear, yeah, I'm just going to be a hunting and a fishing. I guess we often forget. It ain't getting, it's hunting. Lord knows how many times I went hunting. I didn't get to getting. The same with that thing called fishing. It's called fishing, not catching. And likewise, the same thing happened. Many, many times more than not. I had an enjoyable time. There were only a few times in my life where catching something was a necessity rather than a pleasure. They say cast a long shadow. I'm casting a short one today. I see the tree line coming up ahead. I'll be happy to get back in that shade once again. I'm figuring maybe you would too. Oh, it's a toasty one. Well, this used to be our life. We didn't let it hinder us in any way. I've hoed cotton, northern Alabama, on days just like this. I'm talking temp-wise, not this time of year. It ain't gonna be all that too much longer. Cotton crop's gonna be coming in to the gin Hey, maybe we'll all get together and take a look into that when that all starts coming in later this fall. In the distance, I can hear the birds putting out the word. The old man's coming down the road. And I'm thinking, like always, once I break past the tree line, it'll go from chirping and singing to quiet and dead still. You know, until they recognize me. And understand, like always, they have nothing to fear. You know, I think it was in school. We were told, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. Well, you can tell these days, especially on YouTube and other social media platforms, that statement fell on deaf ears. Because there's a lot of fear casting and a lot of fear catching. And it has just grown to a fever pitch here of late. So much so that I just can't follow many of the people I once did. I'm not saying they were bad people. Don't want to get into the reasons why. They seemed all, every day, trying to make us cry. There was a time when they showed us what they did and how they did it. Now, just all the things they can find that will most likely, in their opinion, kill us all in due time. Oh, there's the shade line. Ah, I'm ready. How about all of you? I can feel the cool air coming up from way below. We're on top of the Piedmont uplift now, top of the ridge. Sort of like top of the morning, but it's the beginning of the afternoon. I can see squirrels running down trunks down below. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the hammer of a woodpecker in the distance too. Did you hear it? I can. You know, if all you got is a place to walk in your neighborhood, you know, on the sidewalks, or even, you know, along the side of the neighborhood road. Hey, we need to be getting out. You know, as long as you don't got, you know, massive heart issues. Don't want anybody having a coronary. And I know, at our ages, we got ankle problems, knee problems, hip problems, back problems. Whew. I got a pile of that too. But I learned years ago that if I just sat around, it took a tremendous effort to get me up and get me moving again. Where, you know, if I try to stay somewhat active, you know, you see how I garden. I plant little plantings all around. I used to have bigger ones, but I still had the smaller ones. It's sort of like every day I take my very own garden tour that I often take with you. Then the banana spiders, something we didn't used to have. I think we can thank Chiquita for that. Yep. They snuck a ride in on the Chiquita. Bananas, you know. As far as I can tell, you know, They leave me alone, I leave them alone. But this, I've never seen them as prolific as they've been this year. They seem to be everywhere. And if you're watching, you can see this is sort of a mixed wood forest. Yep. It's got pine, oak, several types, hickory, shagbark, and other. It's got walnut, wild pecan, or pecan, depending on where you're from, and many other more species. And that was another reason I wanted to take a walk. Yeah, summer's about done. Fall is on the wind. You can feel it in the early morning hours, and the late evening ones too, as the temperature falls off. And we love it too. Gracie and Lily Bit, they love this time of year because they know Papa. We'll open up the door, lock the screen door, where they can sit there and view out upon the world without worry about being eaten by the big kitty crew. If you remember, both of them were the runts, and they weren't faring well outside. It wasn't that Spooky wasn't taking care of them. We all know Cleo, right? She loves one person, maybe two. I'm one. Somebody down 2 houses down where she spends her time as well. She must love as much as she loves me. But there's a nice little breeze. And see, that's something else. We often, I think the majority of us now, don't experience much anymore. The natural cooling effect. You sweat? Yeah, I know. I said sweat. And I'm going to say another word that's just going to shock the internet that I wasn't aware of was so bad. So you see, you sweat or perspire. Yeah. And you become, or are you waiting for it? Yep, moist. And then, if a breeze or a light wind, like we have here, blows in, that natural process of the wind evaporating your own human moisture, aka sweat, yeah, makes a natural cooling effect and can be quite pleasant in the hottest of times. Now the wind has stopped and it's not so cool as we walk deeper down the ridge line. I bet I could count all the people I've ever met walking these woods over the last 27 years, using my hands, my toes. Probably still have a few left. I wish I had the money to buy it. At least one track. I think these are 30-acre tracks, maybe more. At today's price, or any time during my life, that was just a dream and a wish that never came true. But hey, with land, you need to keep it straight. These roads, yeah, they were once farm roads, and probably were logging roads, if I dare say. Over the years, they get pretty clogged up. And the landowner, which now is older than me, it's difficult to keep everything cleared away. Especially when, other than walk it, is about all that's been done. And see, the cleared track up there where the pine forest once grew is another track belonging to another family too. I mean, there are still places back in through here. I mean, I can keep walking and I'll eventually wind up in the Gulf Coast or in Montgomery, Auburn, depending on how I travel. Or I could end up in Dadeville or Alex City to the north. And most likely, you'll never see another human being along my way. I might hear them on the distant highways or along the rivers and the lakes that I pass. But the chances of running into one at this moment in time isn't good. Soon, hunting seasons will be opening, and some do hunt this land. A lot less now than once did. There's deer, turkeys in here, both of which I've seen in abundance. Squirrels are everywhere. You got groundhogs, possums. You got buzzards. And even eagles too. I think they're brown ones, if I remember. Not saying there couldn't be a bald eagle or two. And of course you got all the things that we all hate. You know, chiggers, ticks, mosquitoes, depending on what time of year and what time of day. I see a lot of pine cones dropped on the floor. And like over on my place, my oaks and the surrounding ones in the neighborhood are dropping their acorns. I haven't heard much of that over here. Because you'll hear them when they fall. There's some nice yucca to the right and yucca to the left. You know, you can make baskets out of that. You can dig it up and eat the root. Just a little tidbit there for you. If if should what they say. One day we go to the grocery store and the food all went away. And maybe that's a good piece of advice. I've said it before. If you're not up on foraging, maybe, once again, now would be a time to get with your local group. I'm sure there's one, especially if you live near a fairly populated area. And if there isn't, there's probably some old timers that could take you out and be more than glad to do it if you show a little respect. Well, here's the crossroads. To the right, takes us down to the lake. To the left, takes it to another special place. I can see the lake down below. We're going to take a left. And we're going to descend down again. Not as steep. Breaking through the spider webs all along the way. Birds sure are being quiet. I guess they haven't come to the conclusion yet. We mean them no harm. If you look through the trees there, the light you see is the lake's surface reflecting the sunlight back to the sky. Yeah, really didn't have it in me to go way down the very bottom of the ridge lines. I thought I did. Maybe I would have. That would have been the first thing I did today. But hey, I had other things to do. Watering, planting, you know, things of that nature. It wasn't until I got all that done and went on inside the house, had me a cola, and thought what to do now. And I started watching some YouTube vids, and I said, no, not today. Let's get out and play. Remember when we used to do that? When we were young, we'd go outdoors and play. Oh, we'd play all kinds of games. Especially if we had friends. Well, it's getting cooler as we descend down the ridge steps. Of course, we're in a lot more shade. The forest is thickening up. Oops. Like to ram face first right into that one. And I have yet to see a hickory nut or an acorn upon the ground. Not saying there ain't some, but I have seen a lot of pine cones, and the squirrels are getting the pine nuts. And these particular varieties of pines, the pine nuts ain't all that big. You'd have to be real hungry to go through the effort to get them. They're there, but they're tiny. But hey, they feed the squirrels and fatten them up, and should the time ever come, hey, squirrel ain't bad. I've had it too. Man, I don't know where I'm going to end up. Let's check on down here. In my mind, I don't believe. Oh yeah, I've been down here too. I just couldn't remember. I see it now, way below. Hold on, because it's getting steep again. In fact, I almost walked right by where I wanted to be. And like I said, if you've been with this channel a long, long time, you'll more than recognize the place that we're descending to. Because I've shared it with all of you. Whoa. We leaning way back into this. Can you hear it? And here we are. Further on up the ridge, this water comes right out of solid granite. And what you might not know, that's what it's running through now. And you can see how it's cut a channel into these here granite stones. One little channel here, and one on the other side as well. And then it forms a small pool there on a granite step, and then down below there's a small pool too. Just right for soaking your feet on a hot end of summer day. Hey, if you don't mind, that's exactly what I do. Partake of some water and maybe a snack too. You're more than welcome to slip your shoes and socks off, sit on down, and enjoy Vienna with me. We'll all sit around the pool and chat about times long past and times yet to be, and what we're going to do to get through it all and still live free. Well, let's grab the pack, sling it on our shoulder. Yeah, we all shared a little water and some viennas as well. You don't want to eat too heavy out here in this heat. Yeah, we need to stay hydrated. And now that we're done, we even hydrated our feet as we sat down there in the sun. Yeah, we left that off. People were saying they didn't want me filming their feet. Imagine that. Well, let's make the climb back up on the ridge. I think we'll head this way, back to the house, instead of where we came. Yep. It won't be so strenuous, though a little longer. Yeah, it's gonna be a little longer. One of the oddities out here has always been how these giant concrete culverts ended up here. I'm thinking at one time they were gonna bridge that stream with them. You know, backfill with dirt and put gravel on top. It just never came to be. It's just one of those things where things were bought, plans were made, and then It never happened. Well, I gotta make my way out of here. And toting all of you, it's quite a strenuous act. Surely it is. If you don't mind, I'll put you all down. And I'll get back to you in a little bit when we get back up on top. Because I got a ways to go. As you can see. A lot of beach down here. Something you don't see much anymore. Because at one time, they cut it all down. Yep. It's getting thick. We'll see you in a bit. Well, I made it to the top. And many of you did as well. Right behind me or beside me. And we're waiting for a few stragglers down there. Yeah, that's okay. Because I stopped here to take a look at this little patch. And it's only right here of these wildflowers growing on these low, what appear to be small bushes. Can you see them? They're ever so tiny, but ever so beautiful. I really can't recollect seeing them before. Maybe I just didn't pass by this area when they were in bloom, or I was too deep in thought to even see the beauty. I'd just walked by. Well, that's the way it is in life. You know, I guarantee you, when we were all working, you know how we rushed back and forth everywhere we went, and how much we passed by. All kinds of flowers, and even food. We never knew it was there, because we never took the time to open our eyes and see but what lay straight ahead. Each day we drove. That was our work. And that was our lives. Like a hamster on a drum, endlessly turning as he tries to get away and get ahead with his life as well. That's what we become. A kind of hamster too. Maybe you thought of it. Or maybe you already knew. Well, we're going to continue on. And leave the butterflies to feast. I don't know if you noticed them. Moths and butterflies collecting the pollen for their food. For the winter months that soon will come our way. The people say millions will die and millions more will suffer this winter in their homes. Well, I truly hope their prediction doesn't come to stay. I know they're chomping at the bit to make it that way. I, for one, am not. I don't need to be justified or made right by seeing others suffer, as I predicted their plight. And that's what I'm seeing throughout social media now. Every little thing to say, see, I told you, and see, I was right all along. Well, let's pick up our bag and head her on. For the sun sets low and the road ahead is long. Here we go. Oh, I think I see the home place up ahead through the trees. Not far to go. Yeah, that's it. I can see the new fence going up. Hasn't been put up long. There it is. I can clearly see. Oh wow, that's not our home. Wow. Somewhere along our walk, we must have slipped back in time to a time long ago where when a house like that, or as a cabin, you know, would have been a fine place to be. There was never no AC, no running water, or frigid air. And the people who lived in this cabin, yeah, they were one harvest away from starvation and dying. You know, in all truth, folks, that's been true for most of mankind. And it's no different today. So why make it a big deal and scare people that way? But somehow, through famine, pestilence, war, and other stuff, humankind has survived. You know they have, because here we all are. Yeah, people were smart back in the day. There wasn't no wind blowing out there in the blazing sun. But in between these two sections, what was called a dog trot, there's a mighty fine breeze blowing through here. And since I'm covered in sweat, it's cooling me down. I guess I should go read the sign and see what it says. I wonder why, after all these years, they put up the fence. Who knows? It's not too long been put up. Yeah, that's the Archibald Patterson log cabin, circa 1845. Hey, if it ever all goes down and I need a place to stay, this one would be mighty fine to make it through the nonsense coming our way. Well, we'll read the sign, see what it says. Yep, 24-hour video surveillance. Well, I didn't even know it was here. Oh, we better head her on out before we get in trouble. It's a shame what you got to do these days to keep a place nice. Whew. Well, they've been working on it. They've been working on it. Probably the Historical Society, I would dare say. It needed a little tender love and care. It did. I'm glad to see it get done. But now we're out in modern times. Back to civilization we've come. So I'm going to take a brisk walk and head her on back down a few blocks to where I belong. Oh, look at this old oak and the way the limb sweeps on down. Woo, can you imagine if we were just wee little children, the fun we could have riding the limb as if it was a horse, or maybe our own motorcycle or sports car. And that's another thing I've seen vanish and go away, and that's the imagination that we all had back in the day. Well, I see our old home place now, for sure. Tell you what, I'll be glad to make it to the shade again. We've been walking down a long hot road in the blazing southern sun, and we're feeling it too. Thankfully, we got a cap on our head. I can see Blackie parked in the front yard by the house. Yeah, we had to unload a few things, so why not put her there? Yep, I see one panther beside the old oak. Yeah, there's my little Speedy waiting for me. Hey, Mr. Gray, were you waiting on Papa to come back home? Did you wonder where I went, Speedy? Well, you could have come along. So good of you, Mr. Gray. But I'm glad you didn't. I waited for your nap and snuck out so I wouldn't lose you in the deep, dark woods. You wasn't gonna come anyway? I don't blame you, old guy. Oh, now you can stretch back out and take your nap, because Papa's home. Yeah, you know, home don't gotta be a mega mansion. Nope, not in my mind. You know, a house, it's meant to keep you warm in the winter, hopefully cool in the summer, and keep you dry. Yeah, it ain't supposed to become a statement of who you are and what you have, in my opinion, but that's how it's become. Not only in America, but the whole Western world. Yeah, it's not the same place in those what we call third world countries, in the continent of Africa and other places too. They're just happy to have a roof over their head that keeps them dry, let alone warm and cool. Oh, Spooky, I see you got up. You want word? You knew Papa would be back, huh? Okay. Well, I gotta get me something cold to drink. We've been toting that water for several hours, and it got a little warm. Hey, would y'all like a cold drink too? Hey, pile on down. Pull up some shade. You can sit on the tailgate or pick out your favorite place in the yard. We'll be back momentarily. What are you guys doing? Are you glad Papa's back home? You worry about me when I'm out and about? Well, one of you or all of you could walk about with me too. Yeah, I know it's rather hot in those there black fur coats. Right, Cleo? Mr. Gray, you just couldn't make the trip all the way up from the carport, huh? I don't blame you, big boy. Oh, and this episode is brought to you by Fago Delicious Cola, a family favorite that's always cool and refreshing. Find it in your local grocery stores. Yeah, don't we wish? Don't we wish, guys, that we had sponsored videos? Well, maybe not. YouTube dumps enough commercials on them, or I gotta take them back off. As many as will let me. And of course, I just put them right back on. What's wrong there? What's up there, Speedy? You have a mosquito go up your nose? I had one go up my nose today. So there you have it, friends and family. I hope you enjoyed taking a walkabout through the woodlands with me today. Wasn't anything special, and probably nothing life-changing. I rambled on a little bit about things that are on our minds. And if you were one of the lucky ones that came along, in IRL, in real life, then hey, you know what we talked about? Off camera too. And hey, unless you didn't, maybe you were just lazy or you don't care, looked up that beautiful bush with the magenta berries that we found out there. Yeah, that's the native American beauty bush. Yeah, and its leaves are medicinal, its roots are medicinal, and once those beautiful magenta colored berries are all ripe in the late fall to sometimes early winter, got to get them when they're full ripe. Yeah, they're edible too. And most people used to, back in the day, make jams and jellies out of them. I haven't seen it in many decades now. But I'm thinking maybe I'll go grab a few and try my luck at making a jelly right here too. But hey, appreciate y'all coming along. Always enjoy your company and your thoughts. So until I and the kitty crew, which is now all at my feet, except for Mr. Gray, who couldn't make all the trip, and of course Gracie and Lily Bit too. See you on that next video. Take care. Stay safe. Prepare as you will and as you must. And may God bless each of you as you bless the others in your lives. Goodbye. Guys. Oh. Your chin's itching. Time for a new flea collar, isn't it, Cleo? I'm thinking I'll order some more on Amazon. Whew, Speedy and Spooky, they got it going on head to head. And my old buddy, Mr. Gray, well, he made it to the shade along the walkway. Well, y'all, we got to head her on in. I got to fix their chow and get some of mine too. Right? Little Lily Bit. I love you. Yep. Later, all.